So Jamie asked me one of the most profound questions in the history of man, but yet it is one of the most difficult questions to answer. But I will today. Yo, what's up everybody? How you doing? This is your Coach Renz, and first and foremost, I want to thank all my subscribers as well as all my Patreons for supporting me. The links for my Patreon will be down below. And for all those who are just finding me for the first time, we talk about everything from philosophy to religion to spirituality to money to relationships to health and every dang thing else under the sun on this channel. And I appreciate all you guys for being here. Please, in your comments, if you want to win a 10-pack of Uncle Ren's popcorn, in your comments down below, hit hashtag, type hashtag Uncle Ren's popcorn. But you can go straight to yourpopcorn.com, the letter U, the letter R, the word popcorn.com, and you can order for yourself if you don't want to wait. You don't want to wait to see if you win. But hey, Jamie, one of my subscribers, also follows me on Facebook, fan of the page, asked the question, Coach Renz, can you explain in simple terms, know thyself? Oh, man. What? That, sir, that's a big question. That's the big question. That's a big question that man has been trying to answer for eons. For eons, it's been a question. Now, I could go into a lot of historical stuff, which I will go into a little bit, but the historical stuff is really the fluff that people who attempt to answer this question really don't answer. You can go into the ideas of other philosophers. We can even go into the self-help idea, and a lot of these books in self-help, they talk about know thyself, but they give you fluff. It's so fluffy. It's so fluffy. You know, it's like Avengers Infinity War. They go into the fluffy, about it. But today we're gonna get into more of a real dealing with it. And I got some good stuff for you guys. Please stay to the end. There's some good stuff concerning this thing. Please just listen, just listen. Now he asked for me to make it simple. I'll try to give you simple examples and I'll try to break it down as simple as I possibly can. But again, we're talking about a question. We're talking about a question that one of the earliest forms of this question was at the Temple of Luxor. The Temple of Luxor, when you come to the external temple, there are many sayings, but one of the sayings at the Temple of Luxor, right, which it gets the name Luxor because the Muslim took that term Luxor and that became luxurious, right? It's so splendid, But Luxor, on the outside of the temple, the outer temple, it said, it talks about how the body of man is the temple of God. That man's body is the temple of God. But when you get into the interior, there's a statement that said that if a man knows himself, then he knows the gods. So if your body is the temple, and if you know yourself, then you know the gods. And of course, to them, and even to us today, to understand the God or the gods or God, or to understand spirituality, to understand nature, to understand the universe, whether you're atheist or not, scientist, not, doesn't matter, to understand the why we are here, the how we are here, how it all works, it is to know yourself. That's the big question that everybody wants to know. So at the Temple of Luxor, in order for you to go through their process, to get into the inner temple, your job there is to know yourself so that you can know the God, so that you can understand the universe. At the school of Akhenaten, the mystery schools of Akhenaten that Pythagoras went to, that he studied under, and Pythagoras studied under many different esoteric teachings around the world, or well, not around the world because he didn't come to the Americas, but in Asia, in India, in the Sumerian schools, in the Egyptian schools that he took back to Croton and started the Pythagoreans. Pythagoras stacked on the wisdom that he received throughout all these different regions. All this information, all these wisdom, they stack and stack and stack. There's no such thing as being complete. It all stacks and stacks and stacks. And I'm giving you a hint there. I'm being like Deadpool. I'm breaking the fourth wall and giving you a foreshadowing. Wisdom stacks, wisdom stacks, wisdom stack, wisdom stack. Wisdom is never just complete, but it stacks. Knowledge is never just complete, but it stacks. From the Pythagoreans, that the idea of it, even though it was in the schools that Socrates came from. Socrates came to that understanding, know thyself. At the temple of Delphi, know thyself was inscribed. Plato then stacked on Socrates and continued that thought. It went all through with John Dees. It continued with Einstein. It continued with Waldo Ralph Emerson, with Madame Blavatsky, with Alex de Crowley. It continued with Benjamin Franklin. It continued with Langston Hughes. It continues to today of know thyself. Through your inspirational speakers and motivational speakers of Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins and Lisa Nichols, it continues of know thyself. The thought is still there. Through your religious communities, know thyself. It is still there. Politicians, know thyself. It is still there. Business coaches, know thyself. And you're still there. In the Marine Corps, in our leadership training, and which is part of my leadership training that I do, that I coach people through, one of the principles of leadership is to know yourself and seek self-improvement. Another foreshadowing. Know yourself and seek self-improvement. And we do this through the process of honor, courage, and commitment. Honor, courage, and commitment. Be honorable. Do the right thing at the right time. Courage, integrity. Be honest. All time. Foreshadowing. Again. Honesty. Be honest with who you are. Commitment. Commitment to the change. Commitment to yourself. Commitment to who you are. All those things. Foreshadowing. Again. We watch Black Panther. He's at the fight. He's fighting with M'Baku. What does his mother and the Angela Bassett character yells out? Show him who you are. Who are you? It's the question that we all ask. And in the surface of those questions, we come out with statements. We say that we are this and we are that. That I am my father's child. I am my mother's child. That I am Ren's. That I like this. I am this and I am that. I'm doing 30 days of I ams. Each day a new I am, and I focus on that I am for that day. You know, whatever the I am that I wake up to in the morning, that's the I am that's there. And it's put up here on my wall, 30 days, I am. Now, if you were part of my Patreon page, then you know that when we talked about the Hermetic laws and the law of mentalism and the law of gender, we talked about the I am and the me am, which is the I am is what you are to become, which is the me am is what you currently are. There is a difference there, and with cosmic distance, there can be a abyss between the two. So the idea of know thyself has been through all generations, different cultures, every culture. Lao Tzu was Buddhist. Matter of fact, let's go back further. Siddhartha Gautama, saying it wrong. He was Hindu, born Hindu, grew up Hindu. But then when he saw that life was not exactly what he thought it was, that there was suffering in life, when he went out, he became an ascetic. And after the ascetics, he became the Buddha and started Buddhism. But then Lao Tzu, after studying Buddhism, developed the Tao. And he said, now, once you know the way, you no longer need Buddhists. And in understanding the Tao, you have to understand self and know the way. And when you know the way and you come in contact with the way, you no longer need the institutions because you know yourself. This is why the legend goes that Lao Tzu was leaving and he was going into the mountains, and a young man asked him a question, well, can you pass this information before you leave humanity? Because he no longer needed humanity because of knowledge of self. Every temple that has been built, the Temple of Solomon, the temples of Karnak, they all been built to symbolize the body of man. To know yourself is to know God. To know spirituality, to know the universe. Pretty much every temple. The Baphomet, although the Church of Satan has adopted it, it was around before them. But it symbolizes the know thyself, the goat head, the androgynous of male and female, showing both male and female energy. The one hand up, one hand down, as above, so below. And there are many other symbolisms. Know thyself. So let's get a little bit deeper into it, since we have a good foundation now. of where it comes from and the struggle that people have had. To know thyself is to say that you know who you are. Now, we first know that we are who we are based on conditioning, where we were born, our gender, our politics of our family, the politics that we've seen, and the experiences that we've been through. We know ourselves to be what we have, the culmination of all these things, these outside influences. But we also know that 25% of who you are is your genetic. It's the Akashic record, as it was called, that of all your ancestors compiled into you. So genetically, you are all your ancestors. Environmentally, you are all your experiences. Your perception and the combination of the two creates your perception of life. Creating that perception of life creates who you are. The challenge is to know that in complete honesty, honor, courage, and commitment, in complete truth, in complete integrity. Who are you? Let me give you an idea. Am I an IT guy? No, I did IT. I was an IT guy for a while, but I did IT. I did not like IT. I was not an IT guy. It was not part of my ethos. It was part of my being to be an IT guy. My genetic coding didn't like being an IT guy. It wasn't something I liked doing. I literally hated it. Only when I was teaching did I like IT. I didn't like IT. I liked teaching. IT just happened to be the subject matter. So I was doing something that I did not like. So that was not me. I am not me. I like the benefits of coffee, but I have to add cream in order to like the taste. So I don't truly like coffee, but I like the benefit. I like the caffeine. I like the fact that it increases blood flow through the body, so that your organs get more blood, get more energy. Yeah, I like the benefits of it, but I do not like the taste. I would not drink black coffee. It's disgusting. Put some cream in it, we have a different story. So there are 51 things that I actually like, but yet I do something different. You see, cognitive dissonance is when you know something to be factual, you know something to be true, but yet you do the opposite. And because you're doing the opposite, your brain, which does not like contradictions, will create a facade. It will create a facade in your mind, an illusion, if you will, that makes you say that, hey, well, guess what? That's what you are. You are this. You are that. Let's use many different examples. First one that I know most people will draw to, the first couple, is religion. Most people will say they are of a religion. I am Christian. I am Buddhist. I am Muslim. I am Jewish. I am Hindu. You'll say that you are because you are claiming some of the tenets. But if you are, a lot of your tenets you don't claim, you would not do, you would not participate in, you would not adhere to. So therefore, what you think that you are in your mind is not what you are in reality. Let me give you an example of that. In the Christian religion, it says that if your child is disobedient towards their parents, take them to the village elders and stone them to death. Not many people are doing that. But it's the tenets. It's the tenets. The tenets also say that if you cannot hate your mother or father, you cannot be a follower of mine. The tenets. The tenets. It says, "Women, I suffer not a woman to speak in the churches, for if she will usurp the authority of a man, that you should keep your women silent, for they will usurp the authority of the man." Tenets. Do you keep them? Or do you not? Or do you just choose the ones that fit you? Do you just choose the one that fit you? In Islam, it says that if someone would not convert over to Islam, then you are to cut off their head, or you are to overtax them. The tenets. Do you follow them, or do you not? Both religions, all three of the Abrahamic religion, says that you're not supposed to charge interest to your fellow Christians, Jews, or Muslims. but yet you still do. You go to the bank and the bank charge you interest. You Christians own the bank and they still charge you interest. Now there are some sects. There's an Ethiopian bank up in the northeast. They don't charge the other Ethiopians interest. But the tenets. You say that you are, but you do not do it. So what are you truly? Who is the true you? Who is the true you? Is the true you what you're doing, or the true you what you think you are? To know thyself is to know which one you are and then be it completely. To figure out which idea, which thought process you are and be it completely. No wiggle room. No if, no maybes. No changes. No extra beliefs. No added influences. No added decisions. No interpretations. It just is. It just is. In a relationship, and from my own personal experience, how many of you have been in relationships? You know that you don't want to be with that person anymore. You know that you're not a good match. But yet you stay because you are a person who is committed and loyal. But yet you don't like them. You don't want to be in that relationship. You have no desire to be there. But yet you stay. And you still will say that I am a committed, I am a loyal person. How about this? Many people will say that I am very well organized. Look at your surroundings. Are you? You will say that you're a person who goes after your dreams and after your goals. Are you? You will say that I am a person I am healthy, I am financially stable. I have understood all my assets and liabilities. And I practice them. Do you? If you're financially responsible, then you will be able to know exactly right now how much money is in your bank account, where every dollar is going. Every dollar that goes in, every dollar goes out. You will be investing 10% of everything that you earn. Are you? Or are you not? You may claim these titles. They're fanciful ideas of who you may want to be. As I said, the me becoming the I. It may be who you want to be, but are you moving in that direction? If you're not, you don't know yourself. And the honesty part is to know that you're not. To be able to say that you can't say at the same time, I am a doer, but yet you procrastinate so often that nothing gets done or very little gets done. So the true statement wouldn't be I am a doer, I am a procrastinator. And here's the beauty of it. Once you realize that I am a procrastinator, your me can then start changing the me of a procrastinator to the I am of a doer. The honesty is not just there for you to have knowledge. The honesty is there for you to be able to bring in that knowledge, that information, those facts. Then to be able to convert that knowledge, those facts, into an understanding. And then act in wisdom over that understanding. This is the trivium. Facts to understanding to wisdom in action. Grammar, logic, rhetoric. Input into your output. Input, process, then output. It's the same, it's the process. So just because you realize and come to a realization of what you truly are does not mean you're stuck there. It is now time for you to put that into a process or a system that allows for you to grow. I am an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is not someone who creates a job for themselves. That's self-employed. That's mom and pop business. An entrepreneur creates a business system. A system that allows for the business to continue after the entrepreneur has passed on. That is what an entrepreneur does. Many people will run around saying that I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner. Do you own the business? Or you're an affiliate or a salesperson or independent contractor, which makes you self-employed? Do you have to go to your business every day? You own a bake shop, a retail shop, a restaurant, and it doesn't function without you. you get sick for 6 months, is it still there when you come back? Can you go on vacation for 6 months to a year and it's still there when you come back and have made more money because there's a system in place? Then you are an entrepreneur. And the idea of knowing thyself, put it into a process after you know what it is, a system that causes it to work. When you know that you are a poor and financial manager, then put it into a 70-10-10-10 plan. But maybe you got to do the debt relief budget plan first and do your 90 and 10 and then get to the point where you're 65, 10, 20, and 5, so that after you get it all taken care of, you can go to a 70-10-10-10 plan. Put it into a system that allows for you to become what it is your I statement is. Know thyself. Know thyself. Like I said in the Marine Corps, we say know thyself and seek out self-improvement. The reason why we say seek self-improvement and the reason why there takes commitment in order to know thyself is because the self is always changing. That, my friends, is the most difficult part of understanding know thyself. Is the fact that the self continuously changes. Continuously. You truly want to know why people get divorced? It is because people are not adapting in their relationships to the changes. Many people think that changes only occur when something major happens in your life, or it occurs when something traumatic happens. I said or, but they're both the same. Well, major can be something good. You win the lottery. It's not a bad thing. Traumatic is when something stirs you to the point of pain that you have to do something different. So, we don't realize that change is occurring at all times. There are a couple of constants in the universe, and change is one of those constants. The law of cause and effect combined with the law of rhythm demonstrates the fact that for every effect in the world, every effect, there is a causal factor. There's a causal factor. And those causal factors cause you to swing to the left or to the right. And at all times, you are either swinging to the right or you're swinging to the left of a pole, of an item, of a thing. You're swinging to the right of wealth or you're swinging to the left of poverty. One or the other. Wealth, poverty. At all times, there's a swing. Every day, there's a swing because you're making decisions and you're having experiences that every day your amount of wealth either increases or decreases. Nothing is stagnant. Nothing stays the same. Change is a constant in the universe. And so you yourself are constantly changing. Constantly changing. I remember 2003. At the time, me and my kid's mother, we were separated. During that separation, I don't know why. Yes, I do. The people that I was hanging around, they ate a lot of Mexican food. And they ate a lot of Italian food. Now, previous to that, I ate a lot of Italian food myself. But I like red sauces, and I never thought about the fact that red sauces was tomato-based. I didn't have chunks of tomatoes, so I never thought that I liked tomatoes. I've always said that I don't like tomatoes. Prior to 2003, I would not put tomatoes on a burger at all, on a sandwich, anything at all. I did not eat whole tomatoes. But the people that I was hanging around, they ate a lot of Mexican, a lot of Italian, a lot of the meals that they made and ate had big pieces of tomato in it. But it was so good that I started eating the tomatoes. So then we get to July 4th of 2003. Even though me and my kid's mother, my wife at the time, were separated, my daughter was in a pageant, so we spent the weekend together. As we had lunch in between the pageant, we went to Fox Sports South Grill. It's no longer there. I love that place. Fox Sports South Grill in Atlantic Station. I ordered a burger. There's my wife, my 3 kids, and my niece. I ordered tomato on my burger. I began to eat the burger. And it was good. It was delicious. And my wife at the time said, "When did you start eating tomatoes? When did you change?" I hadn't even realized it. It was a subtle change that had occurred over a 4-month period that I hadn't even realized that I had changed my dietary. But if you had asked me the next day, if she had never said that and you had asked me the next day, "Do you eat tomatoes?" I would have said, "No, I'm not a tomato guy. I don't eat tomatoes. I don't like tomatoes." But yet, my entire life I've been eating tomatoes, just in different forms. And yet, when it was introduced to me in a different way, I began to eat tomatoes raw. I began to eat them stewed. And I realized that I am a tomato guy because it was brought to my attention at that moment. So many changes are occurring in your life and you don't even realize it until it's brought to your attention in some form or fashion. Or if it's traumatic. I've told you guys many times before when I owned my gyms, I was a personal trainer, and actually this was around the same time, 2003. One of my clients, well actually it was in 2006. One of my clients, been working with her for a while. Up and down. But it's the traumatic experience of trying to get on a roller coaster with her kids, and they told her that she was too fat because they couldn't press down the handles. That the traumatic embarrassment was so strong and so painful that then she became one of my best clients. Lost more weight than anybody I ever trained. Lost more inches than anybody I've ever trained, simply because she had a traumatic experience. You're having experiences every day, and every day those experiences are changing you. Because of those experiences, your relationships change. But if you're not adapting to the change, then your relationship turns into one of two things. Either you're just there out of comfort, you begin to settle, which settle should be a 4-letter word. You begin to settle, or you leave. You leave. When you settle, within settling, there is adultery. Within settling, there is a disconnect of emotion. Within settling, there is a loss of love, but just comfort. Within settling, there is a relationship that is dead, because nothing settles and remains still. It's constantly changing. It's no longer swinging to the right of love, of elation, of happiness, of joy. It is now swinging to the left of death, of sadness, of disagreeable. It is swung to the left of disheartening sadness. It is horrible. But you're comfortable. And your cognitive dissonance says that I'm married, I'm in this relationship, and I'm still here. So I'm happy, even though you know you're not. You're sad. You're disheartened. You're in a state that is so filled with such sadness that you can't even bring yourself to realize it. That is like you stuff things in a closet and you know not to open that closet because all of it will pour out. And oftentimes it does, and when it does, that's when you see these relationships of 40 and 50 years end. Because all of that was in that closet poured out. Know thyself. When you know yourself, you are attentive to the changes that are going on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. I've told you guys before in previous videos that you have to protect the relationship. You have to be attentive to the relationship. You have to pay attention to every subtle change. You have to pay attention to every experience and how that affects you and how that affects everyone around you. You know, I was talking to my daughter the other day, and I was explaining to her why there were certain people I didn't let her be around, why there were certain movies and songs and things like that I didn't let them see, because I know that each one of those things affects them. I told them when I was younger, I was different. I thought about at 9, 10, 11, 12, 14 years old, how environment affects you. So that when you have a child, if you allow that child to watch certain things, it affects them. If you say certain things to them, because she was asking me, why do parents curse out their children, be yelling at them, and cursing them, using profanity towards their children when their children are like 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. And one of the things I told her, there was many things I told her, but one of the things I told her is that people don't think about how everything affects them. Even you watching this video right now. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, this video is going to affect you, especially if you made it this far. It's going to affect you because it's going to cause you to think about it. Whether you agree or disagree, you're going to now think about, what have I been changing? What has changed about me over the last 6 months? What has changed about me? Has any of my political views changed? Has any of my spiritual views changed? Have any of my dietary views changed? Have any of my relationship views changed? The things that I like now in a woman, the things I like now in a relationship, are not the same things I liked 15 years ago. Here's something. Some of the things, some, not all, but some of the things that I got divorced about from my kid's mother, I've come full circle to where those things wouldn't bother me. And that does not mean we would get back together, because there are things about her that has changed into today that I would not be agreeable with today. So it doesn't mean that. It's just me recognizing that some of the things I complained about then, some of the things I didn't like then, some of the things I had changed into then, I would not go near. The things that I wanted then, I would not go near those things today. But yet, that's what I thought then. And I went from not liking it, not liking it again. We change. We have different experiences. And being attentive to those saves your relationship. Or it lets you get out of it early enough to where you don't hurt yourself too much, too bad. One of the best things not the kid's mom, but my ex-wife told me, I've been married twice and I'm not embarrassed about it. But one of the best things she ever said is that I thought I would be a certain way when I got married, but now I realize that I'm just like my mother. And I didn't care for their relationship. I did not like their relationship. And I was not going to go on a pathway that would take me to that relationship. But it was the best thing she could have ever said to me. The best thing. The best thing she could have ever said. Because it allowed me to see what changed, why the changes occurred soon after we got married. Because her real self, not the part in her mind that she thought she was, came out. But the real self came out. Now you guys can relate to that because I've heard many of you talk about that. But the real person came out. And when that real person came out, the actions were different from what the person think that they are. It's like a person who, I'm a very loving person, affectionate person, but yet they hardly touch you. I'm very supportive in everything that you do, but yet they have so many negative things concerning. They're always thinking about how it's going to fail. What you think you are and what you really are is totally different things. This is called the illusion what is it called? Psychologists call it, and I'm gonna probably say it wrong, the illusion of the end of history. I think I said it right. The illusion of the end of history, of what many psychologists call it. When you have an idea of who you are, but your results of who you are is totally different because you haven't noticed the changes. So know thyself is to know these changes. You have to know. This is where the commitment, honor, courage, and commitment comes into play. Know thyself and seek self-improvement comes into play, because if you're seeking self-improvement, then you have to know who you are, but you also have to know how each change affects you. And as you're noticing how each change affects you, you then determine what the perspective of that's going to be and if that change is valid. Is it a valid change that you can have in your life? When you realize that, that's how you truly know yourself. This is one of those things of why it took, and understand the Pythagorean school, you first showed up, you spent 2 years learning basics, learning math, 5 years in complete silence before you can truly start working with the masters, 7 years to truly get into the school of Pythagoras. It took almost 20 years to get into the mystery schools of Akhenaten. You have to show yourself approved. They say study and show yourself approved. You have to show that. That's what the school of Akhenaten taught. That you got to study to show yourself approved. In order, once they conquered and they built the Temple of Luxor, that the Temple of Luxor, you stood on the outside and you had to learn and understand the things on the outside of the temple. Could take you 5 to 10 years of learning the outside of the temple before you can come to the inside of the temple. And you can learn what the masters were teaching. That inner knowledge of knowing yourself truly and being able to adapt to it. If your body is the temple that houses God, Waldo Ralph Emerson believed that all this search for God is a search for yourself. That if you want to know the higher spiritual things, you have to know yourself, the inner self, that you have to look inward to find the Creator, not outward. So by knowing yourself and being constantly aware of the changes, this is how you come to higher spirituality. But not just spirituality. Let's put it in real plain text things. Things that we can grasp on right now. Things that has no dealing with religions or anything of the sort. When you know yourself financially, you can then put systems in place to create the finances that you want, that you desire. When you know who you are as far as your work ethics, as far as the kind of work that you would like to do, then you can say, okay, I need to make more money, right? I want to live a certain way, but I don't want to do it being an accountant or being an architect. I don't want to do it being a nurse. I don't want to do it being a doctor. I don't want to do it being a truck driver. I don't want to do it being a teacher. I don't like those things. I truly don't. So when you realize you don't like those things and you say, okay, well, what do I like? And you say, okay, I like art. I like to draw. I like cooking. I like baking. I like talking on YouTube. Then you say, okay, if I like those things, what are the systems I need to put in place? What are the things I need to do? What are the programs I need to go through? What is the understanding I need to have? What are the experiences I need to have in order to make this something that can make me money? That can make the finances that I desire so that I can live the life that I desire. What is the system that I need to put in place? And then you figure that system out, or you work with a coach to get that system in place. Then you take the actions of that system to create it, to manifest it. For every cause, there's an effect. For every effect, there is a cause. You have to put that in there. Raise the vibration so that you get there. If you want a prosperous relationship, know who you are. What you like, what you don't like. What you can deal with, what you can't deal with. Only allow yourself to be the person that exudes that, and only allow others to come into a relationship situation that can produce at least 80% of your top 5, and only be in a relationship with those people, and then constantly be on guard and watch that relationship and let it flourish, and watch it flourish because you're putting forth that effort, that energy to make it flourish. That is as simple as I can put it. Utilizing the trivium, utilizing the hermetics, utilizing knowledge that stacks and stacks and stacks. Wisdom continues to grow. Knowledge continues to grow. Nothing stays the same. All things change. And when you know yourself, you notice the changes, and you only do what you like. The Church of Satan, Aleister Crowley, do what thou wilt, but don't do anything that harms anybody else. It was corrupted, but don't do anything that harms anybody else. Do what's best for you. Be selfish, and you will truly start to know who you are. And that's why, guys, and that's why, Jamie, I always say you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable.